Well, welcome everyone to this impromptu, not really impromptu, but post analysis of Hubsan's event, and I'm joined by the amazing Mr. Ron Brown. Mr. Marcus Crawford is on assignment in Montana right now. It's his vacation assignment. So.
Actually, he may be in Shenzhen at the live event. He may be the one in the audience asking his questions.
That's a good point. He may be there, and we may not be knowing about it. So, Ron, first of all, okay, let's talk about the drone here. We'll talk about Hubsan's issues here in a minute. What did you think? Okay.
Well, we got to see it sat live on the stage there. It looked good. They weighed it in at 249.2 grams, and then they flew it. Now, I mean, we'll jump this later. I got so bored with the presentation, I walked away and missed the bad part. But from what I saw, though, I mean, it took off. It hovered well. Remember, this is indoors, so it's hovering on the sensors only, not the GPS, most likely. And it seemed to hover there for a long time, long enough for me to walk away because I was bored. But it sounded and hovered like a DJI drone for much of the broadcast.
Yeah, and in line with that, okay, I noticed as the battery was getting lower, the drone was getting lower. Okay, you noticed that, and it was getting lower and lower and lower. Now, Ron missed all the best part of the show today, because when it got near to the ground, I was thinking, oh, they're just going to flip the sticks in and he'll land it. No, nobody was at the controls, and the drone veered off to the side and crashed up against it, and then they finally shut it off, which was, yeah, okay.
Now, how many minutes was it in the air when it did this?
My guessing it was almost over 40. Okay, according.
Oh, wow,
and
I
was just doing a rough.
It can't hit 40 in perfect conditions then.
Yeah. So, in perfect conditions, it'll hit 40. Okay.
Wow.
Hubsan was able to prove two things today. Okay. Indoor stability. Okay. And I'm sure outdoor it would be fine as well too. I'm just surmising from that, in their runtime, their battery life. Okay. Now,
So let me stop you right there just for a second. So in a real world situation, we may be able to get around 30 minutes.
That's true.
In real world flying.
In real world, dealing with atmospheric conditions, wind, humidity, moisture, that kind of thing, everything coming into play. Yeah, I think we can get a good solid 30 minutes from
that. That's enough for most of us, especially at that price point, correct, Bill?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's not, I can tell you this. When I go out to do the Skyway Bridge here in Tampa, I mean, it's a long flight. Okay. You're not going to fool anybody with that. And you need a solid 30 minutes from that. Okay. Because at about 60%, you need to come back home. All right. Because the winds around there change all the time. So that would be a drone, as long as it's not a real windy day. I'd feel comfortable doing that, taking it down to the Skyway Bridge because of that runtime. All right. Now, the part that kind of disappointed me, okay, they did do the Q&A, which, it was rough because, she would read it in English, he would answer in Chinese, and it was,
And then she would interpret back into English. So one question could take 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was kind of painful. Now, Ron, I don't know about you, but one of the things I was disappointed was I thought we would see some kind of an FPV, some kind of a view.
We all wanted to see footage, yeah.
Something from either that they had a little insert so you could see the drone and see the studio crew in there, or that they actually had some footage. Okay. Now, I would expect, and this is just a guess on my part, that Hubsan's going to put some footage out there a little later today.
I would definitely look for a video, if not later today, tomorrow, with an actual, flight footage or whatever.
Yeah, because
I was real disappointed it didn't cut away to some pre-record. It didn't have to be live, but cut away to some actual pre-recorded footage.
And
okay, why was that? I'm expecting more. Why did that one guy, I'm going to call him the producer, why did he keep coming up and turning on that iPad on the left side of the screen that was facing the audience?
yeah,
I thought that was going to do
interesting
something
because
at some point.
I think that was for trying to provide an FPV view, and it was a total fail. I mean, it probably wasn't working, and they probably were going to zoom in with the camera to show you what it looked like, but I think it failed. I don't think it worked inside the studio for some reason.
It definitely wasn't a Steve Jobs Apple presentation from the 2000s.
Oh no, God, Steve Jobs, he would nail his presentation. He would practice it so much, he would nail them. I mean, they were always spot on, polished, well rehearsed. Okay. Samsung does a good job with their presentations as well too. This was just a mess. I mean, it was between, okay, the first run with absolutely no audio to it that ran for 6 minutes. All right. And then the second run where sometimes the audio would cut out for unexplained reasons and you didn't know it. And then her audio got real low near the end. Okay. And you had to turn it up. And then he would talk and would blow your speakers out. I mean, it was just.
Yeah, and her audio got worse and worse during the broadcast. I don't think we were hearing her audio from her mic. I think we were hearing it from his mic standing close by.
We were hearing,
and she was the one who was important to hear, because unless you speak Chinese, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you heard him. And you know what? Instead of her interpreting, when he spoke, they should just put the what do you call the words on screen. They should just close cat. I'd rather read what he was saying than her repeat it, because she's probably losing something in translation or missing something.
Exactly. And you figure too, most of Hubsan's market, and I'm going to say this, most of Hubsan's market is probably in English-speaking countries. All right.
Yeah. Even if it is in China, my solution would have worked. Just let him say it in Chinese and put the English translations below. That would have worked.
It would have worked, and it would have saved a whole lot of time, because I mean, they were doing these Q&As, and Ron, it was really, he was just basically, and I'm going to say this, I think what he was doing was pretty much reading from the specs and telling people this is what the camera is going to be. Okay.
Do you think he was an actual engineer in the product, or he was just some kind of marketing person?
Yeah. He had no real firsthand knowledge, kind of a thing, which you thought they would have somebody there like that, but it wasn't. It was all marketing and PR people, and it was a mess. Okay, the only two things we found out, okay, the Zino Mini Pro can hover well, and
until it gets low in battery. But I want me throw this in real quick so we don't get back to it. What it did crash is the wall at the end. I didn't see, why did the obstacle avoidance save it, or the battery was so low that the obstacle avoidance couldn't work at that point?
That's a good question.
I would have loved to have somebody. Marcus Crawford joined us. Hello, welcome from the road.
Yeah, I'm in beautiful Clancy, Montana right now, and this is on my laptop, so I'm curious how
it's coming up pretty good, Marcus.
For a laptop, the visual looks good, and the audio, you could tell you're in a hotel room, but it's clear. I can understand you.
Well, I'm actually in a home, but it's all right. Yeah,
but I mean, I can tell you're in some kind of a big room, but I mean, the audio is perfect.
Yeah.
Tell Marcus, you sound better than the people did at the Hubsan event.
Boy, no kidding. That was tough, wasn't it? I mean, gee whiz. Yeah.
Hey, Marcus, I was just finishing one point real fast about the obstacle avoidance, about why it didn't kick in when it crashed. And I kind of answered my own question because it's probably too low in the battery. But I wish somebody would have walked up to it and tested the obstacle avoidance. Like, I wish somebody would have got close to it and seen how it would have reacted.
Yeah.
That would have
been
would
you like to see the obstacle avoidance in some kind of just a small test?
Oh, absolutely. It would have been, just. And the only, Marcus, like I was telling Ron, the only two things we found out, it can hover, okay, which is good. All right, that's a good thing. And with that battery life,
it needs to hover.
I already got my line. It passed the Marcus Crawford hover test.
Drop.
Actually, a better one. It passed the Kelly Shores hover test.
Yeah.
Probably won't be able to make fun of this one.
Yeah.
And folks out there, I'm not making fun of Kelly. We love Kelly Shores and whatever, but everybody can remember his Hubsan test where he hovered at about 3'4" off the ground and it kept like, running into stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Gitman in there. I saw Gitman in the chat there at the Hubsan event.
So I missed part of it. I actually went downstairs and had a little breakfast while it was
Marcus,
going on.
Nobody could sit through that whole thing.
Yeah. So did they actually crash the drone or something, or what?
Yeah. What happened
again
is the drone the battery got lower. The drone got lower, kept getting lower, and it was about 50 minutes into it, and then all of a sudden it did one of these things right near the ground. It started scooting like
right,
and then it hit up against the side. You can hear the props hit something. Okay, yeah, this was classic. Okay, and then you heard some words. They were all in Chinese or Mandarin. Okay,
oh, they weren't bad words, Bill.
They probably were. Okay, well, I was telling Ron. I figured, okay, because the guy, when he started it up, you saw him take the controller and take off. Okay, and get it to where it was hovering. So I figured the guy had his hands on the controller. He was just going to turn the sticks in and just, it was getting ready to land. Okay. No, he didn't do that. It's just went, and then boom, right up against the side. I mean, I'm like, my gosh.
I'll have to watch the replay to see that. But I mean, to what I asked Bill, Marcus, Bill thinks it did almost fly 40 minutes when it actually ran out of gas and crashed the ball. So that was one of the true things we got out. It actually does have 40 minutes.
Well, here's what I'll say, Ron. I've never taken my DJI Mini inside the house and let it hover and see how long it would hover. Would it hover for 33 minutes or whatever DJI tells us? Heck if I know.
Yeah.
Well,
possibly, but I was saying if it could do 40 minutes, even inside hover, you have an expectation of maybe 30 minutes flight time out in real world situations. Then.
Now, I did my on the DJI Mini, the first one. Okay, I did a couple of flights inside the house. All right,
when you had the prop guards on, right, Bill?
I had the prop guards on because if I didn't, I'd have been decapitated. Valerie,
did one time with some during you had a little mishap in the house?
Well, yeah, that was with the original Mavic Pro. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It took a nice little gouge out of the wall. Okay, and I've been reminded of that. Okay, so that's why I put those prop guards on when I flew with the original Mini. I really had no. My biggest issues were trying to avoid obstacles on my own, because I had to. And then the other thing was, if there were papers or anything loose, it was going all over the place. Okay.
Oh boy.
It was doing that. But other than that, it flew well. It was stable. Like if I took my hands off the sticks, it stayed stable. Obviously not based on GPS. Okay. In my other house, I had dark floors. This house, I have very light white floors, linoleum. So, tile. So, but it's amazing for all this setup and for all this hype that Hubsan did with this. All right, we find out two things. Okay, if that. All right, and there's no. I think for me, my biggest takeaway, and I'm going to throw away Hubsan's audio issues, technical issues, all that stuff. Okay, my biggest thing my biggest fail for Hubsan is they didn't show any footage. Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't learn anything. We saw a drone hover, and the production value was horrible. I'm telling you, a 6th grade class could have put on a better production than what they did. And so the way I interpret that is it just doesn't give me a lot of hope for the drone either, because we're all hoping that Hubsan is really upping their game with this one.
Yeah. Well, we also found out,
didn't give us that kind of confidence, did it?
We also found it was 249.2 grams. Okay.
We know it weighs in correctly.
It weighed in correctly as well. I mean, those are the three. And you know what, guys? Like Marcus said, like a couple of things. 6th graders could probably have done a better job with this. Okay. And the other thing is, there's nothing here. It's really kind of a nothing burger from all of this. Okay. We really didn't learn anything.
Well,
Yeah,
I know you guys are really being a little negative here, and I understand it because I got bored with it too. But again, we do know it weighs 249 grams with a standard battery. We kind of know it kind of looks and sounds like a DJI drone flying in the air. There, we know the battery life. It is kind of basically what they say. So we do know some things we didn't know before. But the big, like Bill said, the big miss is we didn't see any footage, still pictures, any image quality, which is kind of my big concern or whatever. And I know it's tough because the marketing department dropped the ball here, did a bad job. But we know the marketing department works in a different building than the engineers do. So
we do know that.
There's no correlation between the marketing department being bad and the engineers being bad.
Well, so Michael, TX Drone Guy, is making a great point. He goes, first impressions are a big deal, and that is absolutely true. And this first impression was so.
Yeah, and I agree. It's to really be fair to Hubsan, okay. Number one, and Ron brought this up already. These were marketing people, okay. These weren't engineering type people. These were pure marketing people. That's what they're, all of them, that whole crew, okay. And I know that Hubsan's not as large a company as DJI, okay. No, we all know that, and they put forth an effort, okay. Whether all the technical stuff aside, okay, they didn't hit the points that people need to know. Now, to be fair, they may be putting out videos post this that show flights of the Zino Mini Pro. So, I'm gonna hope that Hubsan does that. But you're right, Marcus. Michael brought up a good point. First impressions mean a lot. Okay, it's like first time I met Valerie. Okay, right? Seriously, right? Those first impressions meant a lot to me. And I married her 15 days later. Okay, so that said a lot. But here we are with this. Out of the gate, and it's not a good start for Hubsan.
Yeah, it's well, you know what? Ultimately, I guess we're not going to know anything until we get the drone in our hand. Or Ron has said it a bunch of times. Tell us a reputable individual that we all trust. We see gets the drone in their hand and does a test, and then that's when we'll actually know. The other, I think, big test is going to be: is it actually going to ship on time? Will it ship on the 15th or the 10th or whatever? And if it ships when they say it ships, that'll be a great sign, because that will tell you that, hey, they can execute. If it doesn't, if it's another one of those things that drags out, well, then you'll go, okay, what's our final product?
We're here again. We're playing. Yeah. It's the same old song, just a different beat.
Right.
I went out to Hubsan's site yesterday, not Hubsan US, but Hubsan's site. They had the words mid-June in there, shipping. Okay, the words mid-June in there. So, let's take that. I mean, if it's June 15th. If they're on the mark with that, like Marcus said, if they're on the mark with this and they do get this out when they say they'll get this out, and Hubsan US, as they say, like 2-3 days shipping in the US, when that FedEx guy comes, 2 to 3 days, like on the 18th, I'm hoping I'm going to see that box on my front porch. That's all.
Right.
Well, Bill, I checked my order, and I ordered directly from Hubsan, the mothership. And before the show start day, and it still said pending, So, yeah. And I didn't expect it to say anything else, but it was still a pending. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Okay, what would you rather see of these two things? And maybe both of them are bad choices. Would you rather see the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro ship on time with some buggy firmware? Would you rather have it ship late with better firmware? Would you rather be the beta tester? Would you rather be the beta tester right away, or would you rather wait a while and get the finished product?
Ron, let me tell you what Hubsan needs to do to be successful with this product. It needs to ship on time, and it needs to be perfect when it arrives. That's what they need to do. You presented a kind of a either or scenario, and it's not that, because they're pricing this drone higher than a DJI product. The expectation is that it's going to be at least the quality of what DJI provides us. So I'm not saying that if there was some minor little bug that would be a big problem, but if there's if it's like what we've seen with some of the products in the past, then you just lose all confidence in the whole thing. So we'll just, I was really hoping that this presentation today would give us a better idea. Ultimately, it did not. We don't know anything more than we knew before. We saw a drone hover. Okay, I've seen drones hover before. So it hovered for 40 minutes. Great, that's awesome. It really didn't tell us much of anything. At this point, what's going to make me comfortable is if they can execute on what they've told us so far.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, but keep this in mind. Hubsan could have hired some slick outside marketing company. They could have came in with professional actors. They could have used some video of the drone. They could have edited it down just to the best clips, and they could have presented like a 2-3 minute or 5 minute super promo video again with all these professional directors and slick actors and all use their best footage, and it would have been all just it all just been a commercial that meant nothing to you either. Yeah,
and a couple of things here. I don't know if you saw this, but Lauren put in the comments his store is getting them on June the 13th. Okay. So that's good news.
Well, let me ask you this question though, Bill. Does Hubsan and these other companies, do they also, I hate the word to use, lie, do they misrep shipping dates to vendors as well as end users like us?
I would think they would not do it to vendors, but who knows? I mean, the debacle that we had with the Zino 2. I mean, it was just, as far as shipping is concerned, and people ended up ordering it from Hubsan US, got it faster than from Banggood. So I mean, it was
and we in the US, I don't know about countries outside the US, but in the US, typically drone vendors don't carry drones from Hubsan or Fimi or whatever. I mean, I'm saying never, but typically you don't see that. And how about this? A fly new limit to this whole thing, guys. What about all the stories about the DJI Mini SE or whatever that Walmart may be selling at maybe for $249?
I think it's a great move.
Is that thing being put out as a Fimi Mini and Hubsan Mini Pro killer, price point?
Let me tell you, from dealing with Walmart during my career as a supplier to Walmart, Walmart I probably came to DJI and said, hey, listen, if you want to sell your products in our stores, you have to bring some kind of value that our customers can't get anywhere else. And so they put that package together for them. I think it's brilliant. I flew my original Mini the other day, and it's still just a fantastic little drone. And that 2.7K footage, I realize it's not 4K. That's the magic number that everybody's looking for. But it looks really good. It's a great flying drone. And for a Wi-Fi product, it has tremendous range. And now they got this new controller. Is it even going to have even better range? I'm just saying, I think it's a little bit of genius. And Ron, I want to ask you specifically, if somebody asks you, Ron, what should my first drone be? Are you going to point them towards the Zino Mini or the Fimi Mini, or are you going to say, hey, go down to Walmart and you're just starting out, try that little DJI product for $250? Man, that's what I'm going to tell them.
I'm going to ask them how much do they want to spend?
That price point,
and then go to finishing that question. And I know Bill's got a point to make here, but it's real quick, Marcus. Everything you said is totally true, but you also are saying this from somebody that if you want to do active track or you want to do orbiting or quick shots, you don't care, because you'll just put that Mini SE away and you'll go get one of your better drones, your Air 2S or something that can do that stuff. But what about the person that wants to do that stuff and they don't have other good drones to go do that with?
I think this is addressed to people that perhaps have never flown a drone before, and they may not even know what active track is yet, Ron.
Well, and I'll say a couple of things here. This is pure genius on DJI's part, all right? Retooling the Mini, putting a new controller with it, and who cares about I'm not saying for let's say for, you're looking to get a drone and you're wondering about things, and you see what Hubsan has, you see what Fimi has, and then you see DJI comes out with something for $250. Okay.
Right. And to Marcus's point, the person who doesn't know anything about ActiveTrack also doesn't know anything about OcuSync too.
Exactly. Okay. So, they want to be able to get a drone up in the air, and a lot of these drones that you see advertised on Amazon, and a lot that Quadcopter 101 reviews, and Captain Drone, I love both those guys, and Steve and Quadcopter 101 guys. You do fantastic reviews, but a lot of those drones that they review, there's no stabilization with them. There's no holding. There's no hovering. I mean, there's just, you have nothing with this. You're going to get something with a platform for $250 that is going to be absolutely, will knock your socks off. Okay. It's you don't even have to worry. I would buy one sight unseen. Okay. I don't even have to see that fly, because I know how it's going to fly. All right. And I think, your point is well taken. If I'm presented with all these choices for a mini drone, okay, and I'm looking to get into it, okay, it's a no-brainer to get that SE. It really is.
All of these Beast drones, MJX drones, all F11, all of these other drones, all of a sudden just got kicked to the curb.
Yeah, Marcus, at $249. If it is $249, that blows your whole review thing of saying those drones are good at the price point. None of them are going to be. Yeah,
they're going to have to come down in price. And Ron, our current winner of probably the best $250 drone, we've always said that it's the original Hubsan Zino. Well, it's not going to be anymore. It's going to be that little DJI.
That's and this is like I said again, and it bears repeating is Frank Wang runs his company really well from the top down. Okay. He's done a little bit of purging lately and restructuring and everything, but this is pure genius on his part, because while they're going to come out with this right now, guess what this does? Remember how Marcus, and you brought up a great point, how, everybody was talking about the Fimi Mini, and then Hubsan came along with a Zino Mini Pro and sucked all the oxygen out of the room. Well, guess what? DJI is doing this again. Same thing that you did. I mean, this was spot on. Okay. They're doing the same thing here. They're sucking all the oxygen out from Hubsan, and especially with this very amateur, as Lauren said, and I agree, performance today. Okay. It's going to suck a lot of the oxygen out of the room as far as Hubsan is concerned. And it's going to point people to DJI. Now, for the three of us, we've already got our pre-orders in. We're going to get them, and it's something that we do and we enjoy. But for people who are looking to start out with a drone, oh my gosh, the choice is obvious. It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of people have speculated we'd see the DJI Mini 3 early this summer to battle, the Hubsan, the Fimis of the world. But this makes more sense. The Mini 3 is not coming early. This Mini SE is going to be the one to come out to kind of mess Fimi and Hubsan out, when the Mini 3 will come out on its regular schedule, most likely at this point.
Yeah. So Ron, that's a great point. And there's been I've seen a lot of criticism in some different chats of DJI saying that, that's just another DJI money grab. Well, of course, that's what they're in business for. They're in business to sell drones. So anything that they can do to tweak it a little bit to sell more drones, of course, that's what they're going to do.
And you got to understand that this drone, this SE is not meant for people like us that have Air 2S's and higher drones. This drone's not aimed at us. It's aimed at the person that has, Marcus, maybe a Beast drone or something like that, or whatever.
Or the last thing they flew was a little toy drone. And
they never flown. This isn't aimed at I'm going to call power users like us. This is aimed at a whole different thing. So for us to get offhand that it's a money grab, well, it's not meant to take our money.
Yeah.
And it gets them in the DJI universe. It gets that new user within the DJI universe. It's a little bit of genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Apple. Say Apple's iPhone, iPad line. They have iPad Pros and whatever, but they also have just a generic iPad for people that that aren't editing videos and pictures on their iPad. They have a basic iPad for people that just want to look at email and browse the web, and so on. And then they have, iPad Pro, whatever is with, HDR screens on them. So again, DJI is doing the same thing here. They have a base mini for somebody that's never going to produce YouTube content or run a YouTube channel. All they want to do is just get a little park video.
Yeah.
Well, hey, gentlemen, I'm going to get rolling because we are actually heading out. Sarah and I, our relatives here, pointed me to a place to go fly a drone, and I don't want to announce it right now, but I'm going to head out and see if I can go get a little drone footage.
All right. Well, we appreciate your reporting live on the scene from beautiful Montana, Marcus. We love that.
Are you sure you're not joining us? Are you sure you're not in Shenzhen, China now, and you're taking that show out for his first flight?
No,
I said, generic background on there. He could be any place.
Yeah, I'm in Clancy, Montana. Look at it on the map. You'll see. But let me tell you, Montana
How's the weather out there? How's the weather out there, Marcus?
The weather has actually been beautiful. It's been in the 80s and 90s, which is really two weeks ago. This is no joke. 2 weeks ago, the house that I'm in right now, he has pictures of 1.5 feet of snow in his front yard. and yesterday it was in the 90s.
Oh my God!
Yeah. But let me tell you, Montana is beautiful. When you hear people talk about what a beautiful state it is, boy, oh boy! I mean, everywhere you turn is just another.
I've been to a small part of Montana. It is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation, and great show, guys. And you guys made some really great points here. So
you as well. Thanks
for helping us out, Marcus.
Time. Have fun.
All right.
Have a good flight, guys. Safe flight today.
All right. Thank you, Marcus.
Bye now.
Well, hey, another point I want to bring up real quick. How about the kind of, I'm going to call it, what do you want to call it, cannonball we got last night from Altel? It was a letter sent out to the dealers that they've got a chip shortage, and they won't be making the current Altel 2s anymore. When they do ramp up again, I guess it'll be with a different chip, and it'll be a different drone that may not be compatible with some of the current thing. With very vague and whatever, but they
get the new CEO in, and then this letter comes out, this email comes out, and not only that, they're going to limit their new smart controller to, they're only going to make so many, and then that's going to be it, and they're shutting it down. And, I think part of this is probably he's probably looking at things from a cost perspective. Okay.
And we just talked about him on the show Tuesday, right? You mentioned he's a guy that's brought in not from outside. He's not like what do you call it, a bean counter. He's actually an engineer or a product guy.
Engineer. He had worked for DJI for some time too. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of industry smarts, which is great. And I think they hired a great guy for this. And it's like when you get a new general manager for a sports team. He does some evaluations. Some people are going to go, and that. Okay. Well, he's putting a pause on this, which is probably a smart thing to do because the chip shortage is real. This isn't a manufactured, made up kind of story here. Okay. Because it was very apparent on the car lots when you're out there. Okay. So, it's real obvious. Folks, we had a great time. It was wonderful today. It was great to have Ron join us here for some comments, and bonus surprise, we had Marcus join us as well. This was, I think Lauren put it best in a comment he put over to Curtis Dart. It was an amateurish performance, and that's what we saw today. We saw an amateurish performance from Hubsan on this. Hubsan had a chance to hit a home run and knock this out of the park. Instead, they pretty much bunted and barely beat it out for a base hit. Okay. We got to see just a brief recap. It did weigh in at 249 grams. It did have that battery life that they were talking about. And it, as far as that. Oh, Ron's going to join us back here again. So go ahead, Ron. So let's have some closing thoughts.
Again, I know it was a bad presentation. I know everybody's disappointed, but I'm still going to say that that's the marketing department. They probably tried to do it in-house. They should have hired some professionals to help them make a smooth translation, and it will hurt them in a way. It probably will lead to some maybe missed sales or people going to wait and see now, whatever. So it was a miss on their part, but I still don't think it correlates at all to anything to do with the performance of how the drone's going to perform or whatever. Now, and I'm not saying the drone's going to be great. It may have its issues or whatever, but that's got nothing to do with them skimping out on the, and not hiring some professionals to do the presentation today. After see that, they should have just not even tried to do this live thing and just put out like the usual slick 5-minute promotional video.
Yeah, I agree, Ron. I think they wanted to try something different to grab people's attention, and I'll give them a plus for that. But I just stated, and this is how I equate this today. It's like that guy that comes up to the plate, okay, and he's bunting for a base hit, and he barely beats it out, and he gets a single, okay. This is what this seemed to me, okay, because it was nowhere near a home run. It wasn't a total, abject failure. They got to first base at least with this. Okay.
And the 6 people that don't think it was a bad presentation, the 6 people that won free drones.
Exactly. I was waiting to hear Ron Braun or Idaho Quadcopter, and I
fell off the chair if she would have tried to pronounce Bill, the drone reviewers, however they would say it.
And I saw Captain Ray Kelly in the chat, and I want to thank everybody for joining.
Brad Austin was in there.
We had a lot of people.
Not your drone girl, but the drone girl from Ireland was in there.
Ireland was in there. Yeah, Chrissy. So, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this. I know Michael Wright was here, Ray Kelly, Lauren was here. Let's see who else. Brad Alston, Stephen Ewing. Thank you for showing up, Stephen. Patrick Sutton was here. I'm going to just want to name a few more names. Curtis Dart showed up today. Crypto Man 5000. G-Man was here. B Wayne was here.
Michael Wright, TX Arts drone guy was here.
Yes. Let's see who else.
Interactive DNA.
Venture Lim was in today. He's was in Chinese. Thomas Baker. Okay. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge some people that were here today. Just kind of wrap things up. We're looking forward to it anyway. Let's hope that it shows up on the, that it ships when it does. It kind of sounds like it will. We'll cross our fingers. Let's also hope that Hubsan puts out some more videos, some canned videos where we can see some footage from it and be able to make some better kind of judgments as far as that's concerned.
Let me ask you one question on the way out the door here. Do you think this will be like the Fimi Mini, and this the first video we'll see is from a real person just ordered it, or do you think in a day or two or a week or so, all of a sudden somebody like Captain Drone or Quadcopter 101 or somebody like that will pop up with a review model?
What I think we'll see is maybe later today or maybe tomorrow, we'll see Hubsan put out like a 5-minute canned video. That's what I'm thinking we'll see first.
Right. So, I mean, they need to get that the video out with the footage, even though, like I said, we all know they're edited, only the best stuff's in there, but people still want to see it.
We still want to see it. So
yeah.
I want to thank Ron for joining me today, and I want to thank a very special guest from from Montana. I forget where Marcus said he was, but thank you, Marcus, for joining us as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and as always, it's a great day.
And hopefully we'll have more news for you on Drone Nation Monday and Bill the Drone Reviewer on Tuesday night.
Yes, indeed. So stay tuned, guys. Take care.